So it is finally time for us to take a look at the LDK game, a portable handheld that emulates a ton of systems. We've been on a quest trying to find something like this that works to my high standards anyway, and we've looked at a lot of systems, and I haven't really been a fan of very many of them. Previously, we did take a look at the BittBoy version 3, and while I like that it has a glass lens, I wasn't a fan of how it emulated the screen tearing, frame skipping. There are all sorts of little things that just bothered me. The lack of an L and R button. So let's set that aside. This, I've been told, fixes a lot of those issues. And I have messed with it quite a bit since I received it. And now I'm finally ready to give you guys my impressions and thoughts. So this is the way it shipped to me. We're just going to get straight into it. I did put a glass screen protector on there. If you could see that, it doesn't cover the whole thing, but I do have it over the middle of the screen. Now, obviously, by me putting a screen protector on something like this is going to speak volumes. Why would I put a screen protector on something if I'm not going to use it, right? So you may see where this is going. The screen protector, I got it off of Amazon. It was supposed to be usable on some other handheld, the RS97, I believe, and I figured, hey, well, if it fits that, it might fit this. So why not? Came with 2 glass screen protectors in this nice little wood box. Particle board box. I don't know what the heck it is, but it's kind of a nice box, like $7 or $8. Not bad. But here it is. I did get the clear one. They do have one that's solid yellow. We have our A, B, X, Y, start and select, D-pad. And then we do have like a menu button and a brightness button. These may function differently depending upon what games you're playing or what systems. Our speakers on the back. Battery compartment right here. If you take the battery out, get her out. We do have the internal SD card. I have a new one in there that I flashed the custom firmware to, but it does come with a 16 gigabyte card with very similar firmware. But the firmware we're using today, we'll take a look at a little more closely in a second. It does have optimized emulators and a lot more options, so why not go with that? You can also add another micro SD card, or you could pop the, whatever you want. You could put another one in there to put your ROMs on, or use the internal one, however you choose. Charging port there, AV out there. The battery, pretty nice, 1000 milliamp hour lithium battery, so we're good with that. Volume slider, and then our power. Now, what else comes in this box? I did get this little velvet carrying pouch, little protective pouch, whatever you want to call it. That's a nice little bonus. Don't think it said it came with that on the box. No, it did not. We get our AV out cable. Would be kind of interesting. I'm not going to test it with this today because we know the output's going to look like crap. And then a charging cable. Got tons of these around, so I never use the ones that come with the systems. So not much of a deal there. Big deal anyway. So the price of this, it's going to vary where you look, and I'm pretty sure over time the price is going to get lower. They go for anywhere between 50 to maybe $80 or so. I would not pay $80. Don't pay $80 for this. If you can get it for 50 or 60, that's around what they're going for. And is that a fair price? A little high, but I think at that price point, it may be worth it. So we do have a 2.6 inch screen, a little bit bigger than the BittBoy. The BittBoy was 2.4 inches, 4:3 aspect ratio, 240 by 320 resolution. Has 128 megabyte DDR2 RAM. And like I said, the 1000 milliamp hour battery. So let's just go ahead and turn this thing on. There we go. Retro firmware. So we've got the newest custom firmware. And from the time I've been using this quite a bit. The buttons, though not the greatest, these are not all the greatest things in the world, especially not the L and R buttons. Nice that we have these though. Not the best, but for me, I like them a heck of a lot more than the D-pad and the buttons on this. These are a little more stiff, slippery, shiny. These have a matte finish to the plastic, and they feel good. So no complaints there as far as the buttons go. So let's take a look at our options here. You can press the L and R to scroll through your different things here. We have applications, emulators, systems, some included games, and our settings screen. We're not going to mess with the settings, but you can change the wallpaper, the font, stuff like that. Do a lot of little customizations. The included games, some of them you do have to have like the WAD files. I'm pretty sure, like Doom and all that stuff. Quake does run. You have a lot of the same stuff that we looked at previously. You have Open Bore. You should have Streets of Rage Remake on here as well. Wolfenstein Plays. All these, it's pretty cool to see this stuff. I'll show you real quick Quake 2. The one thing I don't like is volume down is actually going up and then volume up is going down. I kind of wish it was the other way. But this system seems to be very capable of playing games like Quake and Doom and all that stuff. You do get a little bit of slowdown if there's a lot of stuff going on screen at once. But the issue I have with this, playing these types of games, is, yeah, you can configure your buttons and your controls any which way you want, but I still feel there's just not enough buttons on this to play these games properly. It's neat seeing this and seeing it play so well on this system, but for me, it's not very playable. Just in that, I have to really get creative with my button configurations, and I'm not really that much of a fan of doing that. But just wanted to show you guys Quake 2 running. Pretty cool to see that. Exit out of there. Now, the stuff that I really care about is going to be the emulators. So let's take a look at that stuff. And the L and R buttons, they are a little clicky, like they're really stiff compared to the face buttons. So keep that in mind. If it's a system that really uses these a lot, it's a little uncomfortable holding it this way, but you kind of get used to it, but they're very stiff. You have to put a lot more pressure in order to trigger them. And if you kind of hold it a little too long, it'll keep, registering or sliding through. Like in this menu here, not a huge deal, but just thought I would point that out. So let's look at the emulators. One of the biggest things for me was games like Gameboy NES and Game Boy Color. So we're going to take a look at a few things like that. Let's look at DuckTales on the original Game Boy. And the speaker booms. It sounds excellent in my opinion. Now, we do have options. Every emulator is going to be different. Like, I hit the side button to get into this screen. You can go through, change the scaler. It's pretty cool on Game Boy because you can see it live, what you're doing. On Game Boy Color, it doesn't. You have to set it and then get out. But we'll leave it at full screen for now. Now, the one thing you're going to notice, and I'm extremely happy about, is I haven't messed with any settings. There's really not a lot you can do with these systems, but I'm not having any screen tearing or any kind of weirdness going on or any kind of unexpected frame skipping. Like, I'm sure you can set frame skipping on a lot of these emulators. I just don't mess with that stuff. But this looks great. There's tons of options to mess with this. And this is what I really wanted this for. Wanted a handheld for, was to play old school handheld games. To me, it's just a bonus to be able to play Super Nintendo, NES, and all that good stuff. So let's get out of this. I just wanted to show Game Boy plays great. So super happy with that. Now let's go ahead and go to NES. Adventure Island, that's the one that I kept showing. And this is just stock on this firmware. The game just instantly plays great. So I'm really happy with the performance of NES on here. To me, I wouldn't really play NES, but it's an added bonus for me and for plenty of people out there who would want to play NES on this. It plays it extremely well. You do have options in your settings. You can mess with the video, the aspect ratio, or the scaling and all that kind of stuff. There's tons of things in here. I don't even mess with any of it because everything has just performed extremely well for me. I'm surprised. So we checked NES. Let's go to Game Boy Color. Yeah, Link's Awakening. This one right here. Also on this, you can change the settings. I just have it on full screen at the moment, which isn't optimal for me. Software full screen. You can go hardware, different hardware options, but they all look the same to me. Software 1.5, scale 3x, software 166, software full screen. With the software, it does have a softness with that scaler, but it's not bad to me. Full screen, it looks okay. You can see the pixels. Anything else with software, it's pretty soft. The image looks really soft. And the game saves work just fine. Have had no issues. Now, any other system I've tried this game, whenever you transition screens, there is horrendous screen tearing and sometimes some glitches. This to me is smooth as butter from the way it looks to me. Everything scrolls well, looks good, sounds good. I am super happy with this. I'm not really able to play these games very well because I'm looking through my viewfinder, but there we go. Definitely excited to see Game Boy Color functioning as I wanted it to. Looking good, sounding good, saves work. No issues with screen tearing or slowdown. So let's get out of that. Next up, let's take a look at Genesis. This is another one, Sonic 3. Sonic 3 I would have issues with. Turn the volume up a little bit. The volume, this is completely up. I'm going to put it next to the mic. To me, that's nuts. This thing sounds great. So in here, the select button would open up the settings for the emulator. I don't think no. And then the top button is the brightness on the side there. But this right here, that's some blast processing. That's what I'm talking about. I've played a few Sega games, and they all function and play well. Every system that I've tested so far, I haven't run into any issues, so that's really good. I guess on my save, I already got that area. So there you go, Sega Genesis. Let's go to Super Nintendo. The one thing that I've had an issue with, you even have Pokemon, the Pokemini handheld you could put on there. That's pretty cool. PlayStation. Oh yeah, we can do PlayStation. I have Pepsi Man on here. Pepsi Man played okay on the BittBoy. On this, it's playing all right as well. I'm not getting any of the weird screen tearing issues, but it's still not 100%. So I think PlayStation's going to kind of be hit and miss. Like, it does run a little slower than what I expect.
Hey, let's start the game.
Okay. But it's still very playable. The frames per second's fine. once you get in the game, it dips down a little bit, but it's still very playable. And it's not bad. I mean, this is almost perfect, but not every PlayStation game's gonna work perfectly. So keep that in mind for sure. Yeah, but there we go. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Quit. But PlayStation works decently well from what I have seen so far. Super Nintendo, Super Mario World. I'm very pleased with Super Nintendo as well. Let's take a look. Sound is good. Everything seems to be running 100%, so really, really happy with this. I need to load up some other handhelds like Atari Lynx and whatnot, but I have a feeling that those are going to run just as well as everything else I've seen. Game Gear runs great, Sega Master System. Arcade stuff is kind of hit and miss for me with MAME for All. I've had some screen tearing and slowdown that's not usual on games. I'm really not a fan of arcade stuff on this at the moment, but I do need to spend more time with that. But what I've seen so far, I am very pleased, so that is a good thing. Let's get out of that. What else do we have? We'll do a Sega Master System. R-Type. Select button opens up options. But as you see, playing extremely well. I'm really happy with this handheld. I'm curious to see with the new BittBoy coming out, even though it's the same system essentially. It's really up to the community with these custom firmwares, taking advantage of what the system's hardware can actually do on if we're going to get a viable solution for all these games. My expectations and what pleases me may be different than others, but the performance of the previous BittBoys doesn't do it for me. This is damn near close. This is, I don't want to say top notch. There's other solutions out there using the PSP, DS, those kind of things, you know, hacking different systems. But for just a little system like this in this type of market, I'm really happy with the performance out of the LDK game. Super excited. If there's anything else you guys want to see with this thing, let me know. I'm keeping tabs of the custom firmware releases, seeing all the things that this thing is capable of. Really happy with it so far. I'll put some links of any of the places that I could find that are selling this if you want to grab one. But like I said, if it's over like 50, 60 bucks, I would really stay away from it. But for my high standards, holy crap, this thing's getting, I can't give it an A+, but I'll give it a B+. Almost an A, a B++. Really digging this thing. Super happy that I purchased one. Yeah, so there we go. I've been using it a lot lately, so that speaks volumes. Got that screen protector on there for a reason, right? So there you go. Really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know this was a long one. I just wanted to showcase some of these games playing because I was really disappointed with other options and the performance I got, and I'm really surprised with this so far. So thank you, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out, bye-bye, and boom!